me tag you.
Oh,
So, yeah. So will you please go to my page and just click share? And it'll be up there on my page any second. And I'll also go to my page and try to tag you
well,
too.
there it is, live now. Okay.
Okay. So let me know when you've shared it and I'll wait a second.
It says shared to my profile, so let's see.
Fabulous.
I'm
Yes,
on.
you shared it. Thank you so much. Well, here we are on Facebook Live at Comic Spot, everybody. How are you today? I'm Linda Marcus Smith, your host. You already know that. Thank you, but that stands for RIP, so please be quiet. I don't like RIP of any kind. I don't know why that has to be audible. Anyway, welcome to Comic Spot. It was invented by me so that you could get to know comedians who are legends and a few of the newbies like myself. But nonetheless, today you get what you came for. Let me mention my sponsors first. We've got Governor's Comedy Clubs in Long Island behind us all the way. And we've also got ahabroadway.org. So you know about Governor's Comedy Clubs. Aha Broadway does discounted training of comedy for veterans and seniors, and they even teach children acting and comedy. So let's get behind ahabroadway.org and all the Governor's Comedy Clubs in Long Island. And today, forget all that. Now we're in the Comic Spot, where we get to know comedians off stage, behind their glasses, so to speak. So today's guest over in the other square is the amazing Stevie GB.
How are you?
I'm awesome. How are you?
All right. Wait, you know what, Linda? I did something wrong. Hold on one second.
All right.
I gotta get off here. I'm hearing it twice, and I think it's because I'm on Facebook. Okay, back. Hello.
And a man that can hear something twice. You are a catch.
I'm like Chuck Schumer. How do you like the Chuck Schumer look? The Republicans. No, I'm not gonna do so.
Let me read you the intro so we can
Oh.
get him to tell us all about himself. So
All right.
here's the deal. If you don't know Stevie GB, go look up. He's all over the news all the time. He's all over huge stages. I've been looking up to him on the internet for a long time. I'm so excited. Here's his intro.
Yeah.
Stevie GB is an award-winning comedian, actor, and playwright, known as the world's funniest accountant. Yeah. And he's performed at the Westbury Music Fair. He's opened for Dion, you know, from Dion and the Belmonts.
Right.
Go Google it.
That's right.
That's a big deal, you guys. He's also performed at the Paramount in Huntington, opened for Dennis Miller, Louis Anderson, Rob Schneider, Norm Macdonald, and many more.
Many more.
When are you going to hear another sentence with all those names in it, really, for free? Only here. So he's written and performed 3 one-man shows, 12 one-act plays, and 1 full-length musical on off-Broadway. And it got, oh my gosh, it got great reviews all over Newsday, Amazon Prime, and News 12. News 12. You guys, welcome to Comic Spot, the amazing Stevie GB. Woo!
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks for coming. Oh my gosh.
That was very nice.
So glad you're here. So glad. And you don't have glasses on for the first time in 23 years.
53 years. What are you talking about? Yeah, I've been seeing like bad for years. Like felt like my glasses were dirty all the time. But you just learn to deal with these things. I figured, I'm just getting old. And I went to the doctor and he said, you got cataracts. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And they said, no big deal. We remove them and we put a lens in your eye. You'll be able to see 20/20. I'm like, what? That doesn't even make sense. The whole surgery took like 20 minutes and they did the left eye and I could see 20/20 out of this eye and like 28,000 out of this eye. So it's a little weird. It's just like a little blurry spot right now. But I'm going to do the second eye in 2 weeks. So I have to read reading glasses. But otherwise, I could drive. I could see far away. I'm seeing things I've never seen before. Everything's brighter. I can read. I came home. I saw my wife. I said, "Who are you?" I didn't. She looked so clear. So now we're done. I don't. I wanted a blurry wife. I don't need a clear wife. Blurry is good. It worked so many years. Now it's not working so much. Okay. So that's what's new with me. It's very weird. At 63 years old, I feel like I have a new life ahead of me.
That's amazing. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And now you're going to have 20/20 vision
Yeah.
and you can watch the news show 20/20 and
I
see it
never
better.
watched it. Maybe. I'm hoping to get X-ray vision, but I don't want to some things I don't want to see through. I often thought about that. If you could see through people's clothes, like that would probably be a curse because you wouldn't be able to stop looking. You'd be
True.
like, oh, I don't want to see that. But in the beginning, it's fun. But then after a while, you're like, "Ugh, I don't want to look." So some things are curses in
Yeah.
disguise.
You'd never want to get off the subway.
Exactly.
Pretty soon you'd start smelling like urine.
Yeah, I don't, that's another That's another doctor. That's a different doctor. I already
That's
been to that
later.
doctor. I've already been to that doctor. But
Talk to me about your early life. What were
early,
you like growing up in school? What was it like to be your friend and your student and have
wow.
you as a
Well,
student?
I was an instigator. I've always been I was the oldest in my family of three, and I needed attention all the time. So if I wasn't starting trouble on my own, I would get the adults to start trouble amongst each other. Like I would walk into a room with my adults and say, um, "These tomatoes have a lot of pepper on them," just so they could fight with each other over who put too much pepper on the tomatoes. That was like fun for me. And then I'd walk away and listen to them argue for hours. It's a weird thing, but I was an instigator, I think is the word. And, growing up in school, I didn't realize I was funny till I was around 10. I started realizing I could make the girls laugh and the bullies would stop beating me up, or the reverse. Actually, the bullies would laugh and the girls would stop beating me up. So either way, I found that laughter was a great way to get friends and get acceptance and feel approved by everyone. So I've
Yeah.
always been fun, and then I listened to a lot of comedy. I watched the Ed Sullivan Show and loved all the comedians and the Marx Brothers at an early age. I remember my mother, I was 9 years old. My mother sat me down in front of the TV and said, "Shut up and watch this." That was a pain in the ass. It was Duck Soup, the Marx
Yes.
Brothers. 9 years old. And, I loved it. I loved Harpo because he was the clown. But years later, I realized Groucho was a true genius. So I grew up with comedy. I grew up listening to comedy albums. All through high school, I like memorized George Carlin's Class Clown album. And, the next day I would go into school and repeat the bits verbatim to my friends. So I was the funny guy in the group in school. And then when I started working in the accounting career, because accounting and comedy are so close together, I wanted to be the funniest guy in the office. It doesn't matter if I could do the job. If I could get a laugh, I was happy. So
You're speaking to the choir. I was 24 years in banking.
right. Yeah. So like nobody was fun. So I wanted to have fun. I would imitate the boss, everybody does. I think every comedian starts out like imitating their parents or imitating the boss, it was just like, and I was always very quick-witted. My father gave me that gift. My father was extremely quick-witted. He could just like pop out a joke, and it was hilarious. Nobody expected it. So I always had that gift of being able to just find something funny immediately. So, and sometimes it's inappropriate, especially nowadays. You can't say certain things, but I was always had that ability to just come out with something funny, no matter what the situation. So I think by the time I did stand up, I already had like 25 years of experience. You know,
Wow.
I already had been doing it. Without realizing it, I already knew about timing and funny and that would became very natural for me to actually get on stage and do it. So how's that? That's like
That's
a
that's so great. Talk to me about, oh my gosh, one act plays and one man
uh,
shows and Broadway music, off Broadway musical. Talk to
yeah.
me.
Well, it all started with stand up, and then I was always writing. I always loved to write. I never got anything published. That still frustrates me to this day that I can't write a book and finish it because I try to finish things. But then I started doing some community theater, and as I was reading plays, like I did The Odd Couple and Neil Simon plays a lot. I played Felix, which was perfect. Uh, I started loving the playwriting, because it didn't feel like you had to know grammar so well. You didn't have to worry about editing. It was just a conversation, and I enjoyed that part. So I started writing like little one-act plays, little comedies, and there was like a local community theater group that would do one-act plays from local authors. So I just thought I would write them in like a day. I would just like write a play, and it was like, yeah, be like 10 pages long. It was like a 12-minute play. And I
My
would enter in these little competitions and festivals. And it was just fun for me. And they were all they were a little weird. I do it. There's three things I would do. One is I would act in them. I would act and direct and write. I did the whole thing. Uh, and a lot of them were two characters, not the musical, but I write two character plays because they're easy and they're all one scene. Um, and another time I would just direct them and hire actors. And the third way I would do it, which was my favorite, was I would just give it to a play group and I would have nothing to do with it. And I would just come as an audience member and watch it. And that was the most fun because I would get to see how they interpreted what I wrote. And a lot of times I would watch it go, man, I'm a sick bastard. Look at this stuff I'm writing. So it was really, that was the most fun because it wasn't so much pressure. It was just like, you do it. I just want, and they would call me, do you want us to do that? No, I don't want you to ask me any questions. I want you to do with it whatever you think it is, and then I'll just come and watch. And every time, except for maybe one or two, they got it. They got it, or they made it even better than I had hoped it would be. So I wrote like 12 of them. I did them in the city. There was a place in the city that there was no money in this. It was all for fun. And I thought I'd be a famous playwright, but nobody, you can name like four famous playwrights. That's it.
Miller.
So yeah, Miller, Ed
Yeah.
O'Neill, that's Married with Children, Eugene O'Neill, Neil Simon, yeah, William Shakespeare. There's not many famous playwrights out there, but I loved the form. I loved doing it. And on a full length play, I did it. It started out as a one act. I was working with this guy named Stewart. He ended up to be a good friend. And we were backstage one time, and he was like 26 years old. He was very like thin, and he had thick black hair, greased back, and he was very almost British looking. I think he's British. And he was standing there all in black. And I looked at him. And I said, "You look like a vampire." And he said, "I always wanted to be a vampire. Why don't you write a play about a vampire? But don't make it like a typical vampire. Make it a vampire that doesn't do good at his job." Because a lot of my plays were about people that don't do well at their job. And I said, "Oh, so it'll be like a vampire that doesn't suck." And he's like, "Yeah." And I thought, that's the name of it, Vampires Suck. And it was about a vampire who doesn't suck. He's like biting the necks of his victims, but it's not working. He's starving. And he's not even starving to death because he could never die. So he's just starving eternally. So he's miserable. That's as miserable as you can imagine, right? So he has to seek the help of a psychiatrist that specializes in vampires. So he goes like to this underground psychiatrist named Dr. Gloob. I played the doctor, and he's trying to get help on how he can suck because he doesn't suck. So and then it became a two act play. And then Stewart was with me the whole time, and he played the piano, and he said, we should be writing songs and making a musical. So we ended up making a musical with songs like I Don't Suck and That Blows. So, it was punny, it was slapstick, it was very Mel Brooks and Woody Allen combined. It was all like
Howard.
slapstick. It was a little bit of Groucho. It was that genre of humor, and
Oh
it was
yeah.
all fun. But there underneath, there was definitely a message there, and it was. I didn't realize it till my daughter pointed out. She said, "You realize what you did here? It's like a real. There's a message here." I was like, I didn't even realize. I was just trying to have fun. But the message was nobody is perfect at what they do, even if they're vampires or superheroes. There's no such thing. Even superhero, like I used to say to my daughter, even dream jobs have bad days. And that sounds pessimistic, but it's the truth.
Yes.
And I think it's okay to show a vampire, because every time you see a vampire, they're successful, right? They bite the neck, they kill the other person becomes a vampire. It's like there's so many vampire things. How about a vampire that's doesn't suck? He's bad at what he does. He's got problems. So, and the other characters in the play, I have a Playboy bunny who's past her prime, so she's feeling like she doesn't count anymore, but she won't admit it. So that's like a cute character where she's no longer the Playboy bunny, but because she's too old to be that, but she can't accept it. So
Oh,
that's
how
like
funny.
that's another, and it's sad, but it's hilarious. To me, like tragedy and comedy. Like if you read, I'm talking a lot. I'm sorry, but
No.
if you read Neil Simon's plays, and that's what turned me on to him. If you read them, they're sad. Like The Odd Couple is about divorce. Prisoner of Second Avenue is about a 47-year-old man who loses his job and he's going through a midlife crisis. He's got another one called Rumors about a suicide. California Suite is about infidelity. They're all terrible things, but they're hilarious. And I was like, well, that's the magic, like if you can make tragedy funny, that's comedy gold.
Yes, absolutely. How come when you're speaking, do I feel like there's a little bit of David Brenner in your delivery?
Oh, I thought you were going to say Larry David. I get Larry David all the time. David Brenner. Well, again, it's that New York Jewish, and I'm not Jewish. I'm from Brooklyn. I'm not Jewish. My mother, I'm Greek and Italian. My mother was very close with Saul Greenblatt, our CPA. So I'm starting to wonder. I think maybe something happened along the way, and you know, what are you gonna do? But yeah, I have that New York Jewish thing going on. So it's Larry David, David Brenner. It's all that, all those guys, Woody Allen, Mel Brooks. But those are my idols. So it only makes sense that I mimic them without even trying.
No, not at all. So you go to high school, then you
Yeah.
decide something in your brain says, you know what I'd be perfect for? An accountant. How did that happen to a funny man?
Well, it wasn't that easy. I went to school and, I was lost in school. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a teacher. And the guidance counselor said to me, "You don't want to be a teacher. That's a terrible occupation. Go to business school." What an asshole. Little did I know if I was a teacher, I would have retired 10 years ago, making $1 million a year like every single teacher does. I'm only kidding. Um, so I went to business school, and for some reason, I liked the accounting. It was like I used to love puzzles as a kid, and and accounting felt like a puzzle. It was like putting things together and making it work at the end and tying in the bank rec. Even though it's dry and boring, there was something about it that appealed to me. Out of all the business courses, I was like, this is kind of fun. It sounds weird to say it, but I've talked to other accountants that say, it's true. They don't non-accountants don't believe that, but there's a sort of a puzzle nature to it of
Right.
putting it, and it works out at the end, and it ties in, and you get that a little thrill. I get like an accounting orgasm at the end of it. Tied in, oh, just a little bit, just a little bit. So I enjoyed that. So I ended up going into accounting, and it's a good career because, everybody needs accountants. It's not like I'm an electrical engineer and I can only work in electrical engineering. I've worked for food companies and I'm a controller. I don't really do taxes. People always ask me that. So I've always worked for companies doing like their monthly financial statements and their budgets. And now it's boring as hell, but that's what got me into it. And
Wow.
comedy kind of came later on a dare because somebody in the office, we were out to lunch Coming up tomorrow is my 30-year anniversary.
With
You know.
comedy?
Yeah,
Wow.
30 years
Congratulations.
ago. Thank you. 30 years ago tomorrow, we were out to lunch with a group in the office because we used to do that. We used to go out to lunch together. It doesn't happen now, but we got to lunch, and one of the girls in the office, Meredith, she looked at the sign and said, "Look, it's a talent night." And it said, musicians, comedians, magicians, bring your talent and you'll win valuable prizes. And she said, "You should sign up." I said, "Why? I don't sing." She said, "No, comedian, you're hilarious. You could do jokes about us in the office," which never works, by the way. Um, right? So I said, "I don't know." But I looked at that sign and I thought about it. 2 days later, Meredith comes up to me in the office and said, "Okay, we signed you up for Wednesday next week. You're going to have to do 15 minutes of comedy and we're all going to come and support you." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" In my mind, I'm screaming, "What, are you out of your mind?" But I went, "Okay." Next thing you know, I'm writing 15 minutes worth of material. Now, I had no idea first time up that 15 minutes is a long time for a comedian. But it's the old saying, you don't know what you don't know. I had no idea. So I went up, I did 15 minutes. I took third place in the contest. I won a Bonnie Raitt cassette. That was my valuable prize. But I became a comedian. That was it. On my way home, I was like, this is it. I'm a comedian. I'm going to be on Letterman in 3 months.
Wow.
Of course, that didn't happen. It doesn't. But yeah, I tried it for a couple of years, maybe 3 or 4 years. Then I got disillusioned and bitter. And I said, I quit for a few years, came back, quit again, came back. But I've been steady since 1998. So tomorrow's my 30-year anniversary at the first time going up, but really it's like 23 years.
Wow. I was going to ask you in 30 years, how many times have you quit? Because, I have that saying, when the going gets
Yeah,
tough, the tough gets going. Every time it gets tough, I
you
leave for a
bail.
couple.
You bail. Well, you know what it is? It's not the material, it's the business that makes you quit.
Yes.
It's like, and it's even worse now, I think, but like it was always the same. It's like, "Oh, okay, you want to do 5 minutes? You got any friends?" They don't care how funny you are. You got any friends? "Yeah, I got friends." And you bring like 20 friends. And then the next time you bring 12 friends. By the fourth or fifth time, you're like bringing in homeless people. You can't attract the audience anymore. You got your family who are like, "Oh, you're so funny. Where are you playing next? Are you going to do the same jokes?" It's like they get tired of you. So you run out of people and you run out of places to do it. Next thing you know, doing dive bars, and it gets very depressing very quickly. Because in your mind, you're thinking, I should be like on stage at the Palladium. This is nonsense. Why am I playing Kelsey's bar on a Thursday to four drunks when I'm so much better than this? But it's it's the business, and you learn very quickly that it's not easy. And then you try to get bookers to pay attention to you, and they're like, "Oh, you're not ready. I got enough comics. You want to do a free spot? You can come down and do a free spot. You're doing everything for free, and then they're paying you $20. It's like, and you go in New York City and you take the train. You spend $40 to go up in front of seven drunks. It's just it's horrible, and
When
you
in
quit.
your career, Stevie, did it turn into money making in front of large audiences in theaters? I've seen your pictures.
Well, thank you, thank you. You know what? It's luck and being in the right place at the right time. Um, I found, and I told other comedians this: you get your best opportunities from other comedians. You know, like I was doing a set at McGuire's, which is now Governor's, and I was killing. I was doing really great. I felt really. I was always good, and I'm not trying to be, you know, braggadocious, but I didn't have that period where a lot of new comics where they just sucked for 8 years. I was always good. I always felt like I got the laughs. I always felt like I put in a, with the exception of the times you bomb. I felt like I always put in a pretty solid performance. And other comedians would say, "Wow, how long have you been doing this?" And when I'd say like 6 months, they'd be like, "No way." I was always polished. And another comedian would come up to me, "Here, call this guy, tell him I sent you, and he'll book you." And I would call the guy and say, "Listen, Vince told me to call you." And they'd be like, "Oh, Vince told you to call? Okay, you can go on." So it became like by recommendation. And then I got like a guy named Rick Morgan on Long Island. God bless him. I love him to death. If you know Rick, he put me on like 35 Firehouse shows in 1 year. He said, I'm going to book you. And he booked me like every weekend. I had a Firehouse show. And Firehouse shows, I don't know if you have them out there, but there's like 500 people, anywhere from 300 to 500 people that are there to laugh, that they have their comedy night like once a year, and it's a fundraiser. And they're loud and boisterous. If you don't do well at a Firehouse show, give up, because it's like the easiest crowd. They're there, they love you, and there's nothing like getting laughs from 300 people. It's insane. So you automatically get better. Every set you get, and I always tried to do something new every set, something new, add a little, even if it's one joke, something new, and then just work the old material and add something new, and then work the new stuff into the old material, and then you develop. Next thing you know, your 5 minutes becomes 10 and 20 and 30, and it's solid. It's not like I could do 15 minutes, but only 5 minutes is good. No, it's like now you got 15, 20, 30 solid minutes. So the firehouses led to a contest that I did in Huntington, and I did really well there. I was like the audience favorite. And a guy in the audience said, Hey, I'm starting up a comedy festival. It was Paul Anthony. I'd like you to be on this show. I like, yeah. And it was his first year doing, and he was doing theaters. He was doing like 300 and 400 seat theaters. These were
Whoa.
like better than the Firehouse shows, because it's not like they're all drunks. They're like people coming to watch a show in a theater. It was like doing your HBO special. It was incredible. So again, that brings you up to a new level. So, every time you do these big shows, you go, but in the meantime, in between all of those gigs, I would do block parties and living rooms and the shittiest hell gigs, because that makes you stronger. Because when you do a hell gig, and I mean like hell, when you do the good gig, it's like, oh, this is easy. You're relaxed, and that's the best thing a comedian could be, is relaxed to a point where you're on the stage and you don't care. And I don't mean you don't care like, I mean like you don't feel that, oh, is this joke going to work? You're not in your head anymore. You know you're set, you know what you're doing, and now you're like, you're having a conversation, and you're comfortable, and you're pausing, and you're slowing down. And you're not robotic. You're not in your head going, next joke, next joke, next joke. Now it's flowing, you
Yeah.
know? And that takes years. That could take 10 years. But when you get to that point and you feel like, okay, I I got this. And then you get opportunities, like the opportunity at Westbury happened by accident. I was doing a little shitty room and there was nobody there. And I always do my best, because you don't know who's going to be there. I hate comedians when they say, oh, there's only 5 people here, I'm going to do a shitty job. Well, why would you do a shitty job? Why do these 5 people not deserve your best? They deserve your best, and you deserve your best. Why do you want to do bad? Always do good. So I was doing good, and this woman comes up to me and she says, Hey, I book comedians at Westbury Music Fair. Here's my card. I was like, that's like the dream job. And one day on a Wednesday, she emails me, Stevie, are you available Saturday, like 3 days away? So Dion the Belmonts was looking for an opener to do 20 minutes. I'm like, holy shit, of course I'm available. 3,000 people in the round, sold out. I'm on Westbury Music Fair. So it just happens, and it's depressing. There's still times where I feel like, ugh, but I have all these things that I'm proud of. I
Yes.
talked a lot.
No, this is all great information, and it's so encouraging for anybody in any field, because you have
Yeah,
to hang in there and you have to network and you have to do your best to get
yeah,
anywhere. So,
yeah. That's what it is. It's just all, and be nice. Be nice, be on time, and do what you're supposed to do. It's like, that sounds so simple, but you'd be amazed at how many comedians I see just don't do that. They come in, they're arrogant, or they complain. Oh, what kind of lighting is that? What kind of audience is that? I don't like the audience. How come they're? It's like, what are you doing? You're talking yourself out of any future gig. Or that guy's an asshole. You're an asshole. And the meantime, the guy you're calling an asshole could be the biggest booker on the East Coast in 5 years. You don't know. So always be nice. Always be respectful. Always be professional. If they say do 15 minutes, don't do 18. Don't do 12. Do 15 minutes. Do your time. Don't lie. Don't say, oh, I could do an hour, and you can't. Because you get found out immediately. You get found out immediately. when you lie or you act stupid, they know. And that's how many times I hear bookers say, yeah, he's funny, but he's a pain in the ass. Yeah, then they lost the gig. It's like, what? And I see unfunny people get better gigs because they're professional and nice and they show up and they do the right thing. So there's a business side. It's show business. And the business side is all that professional, on time, do the right thing. If you're doing a clean, I do a lot of clean comedy. If they ask for clean comedy, be clean. I see comedians like, oh, I said fuck 12 times. They can handle it. But they asked for a clean show. Why did you do that? It's like, get out of your egotistical head and, you know, observe the client. They're the customer, you know, the booker, the audience. I do a lot of private gigs. That's the customer, you know, and do what the customer wants. And occasionally you're going to get people come up and complain. Somebody didn't like that joke that you told them. Okay, you know, what are you going to do? That's what happens. And then hopefully you get booked again and they recommend you to other people. Everybody knows people. You don't know who people know. I do a lot of these over 55 communities and they're very hard to get into. But once you get in, they all know each other. They like me and they're like, I'm going to recommend you to, and then like 2 weeks later, I get an email from another 55. Linda said you're good. I'm like, okay. And then you get more and more and more. Next thing you know, you're a working comic.
That's awesome. That's so fabulous. What is the craziest thing that ever happened when you were on any stage? Your craziest story?
Oh, I got so many.
Tell me
So
a few.
many. Well, I got firehouse gig. I don't know what happened. I was up there doing some joke, and I'm very friendly. I don't accost the audience. I'm there to entertain them. I'm not there to make them feel uncomfortable. I have nothing against comics that make people feel uncomfortable. I like that, but that's not my style. So I just don't do that, and I'm not going to do it because it would not be me. So
Yeah.
I'm up there doing my usual friendly, funny routine. All of a sudden, this guy in like the third table stands up, and puts his pants on. He's like, "I'm gonna get you! I'm gonna get you! You!" He starts screaming at me, and I'm like, "Sir." Put down the crack pipe. You know, I didn't know what to say to this guy, and the whole place is erupting, and like they don't. I don't know if they want this guy to get me, or I don't know whose side they're on. You know, but I found like with like that's a heckler. You got to get the audience on your side. That's what I find works best with hecklers. Is like, could somebody tell this guy to put down the crack pipe? I think that's what I said. And then the audience is on my side. So now it's all of us again. Because if it's you against the heckler, it's one-on-one. And you could lose that battle. I've seen comedians lose against that because you go at the heckler. Shut the fuck up, blah, 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 and then he goes back. Blah, 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 you know, yeah, you could do that. But I find what works best is like, hey, everybody come here with me against this guy. And that tends to work, you know. Or I get down in their face and say, look, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Do you think these people came here to spend money to hear you or to hear me? And next thing you know, the crowd is like, yeah, and they're against him or her, and they shut up. I mean, I don't think that's ever not worked. But
That's great.
that's another thing I've learned. But yeah, oh gosh, I've been to so many hell gigs. I did one gig at a block party out in Shirley, which is kind of a iffy neighborhood. And I know you a Long Islander. Is that?
No, I lived in New York 3 times.
Oh, okay. Shirley is like, and it was a block party, so they hired me, and I'm doing comedy on their driveway. Nobody's paying attention. The end of the thing, the guy picks me up. He goes, "We're gonna put you in the dunk tank." They had one of those where you throw the ball and try to. They tried that. They were picking me up by my head, but luckily I escaped and ran down the block. They were gonna put me in the dunk tank. I don't know what else they had planned next, but these people were crazy. I've had outdoor patio shows where the dog's licking my water and the kids are standing there with towels around them, staring at me. It's like, and the tent is 80 miles away. What am I doing? It's 150 degrees. And you know, if they don't know what they're doing. So many people hire comedians for private parties and they have no idea what they're doing. They will hire, I love when they do this. I come in and they go, "You're the surprise comedian." Now I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm like, why did you do that? Because believe it or not, some people don't like comedy. They just don't like it. Or they're not there. They're there to schmooze with Uncle Larry and drink beers and have a burger and some hot dogs. They don't want some idiot up there going, The other day I was walking my dog. It's like, shut that guy up. Or they leave the radio on. It's like there's so many things, and they're all bad. I don't think it's very rare where I get a good backyard party gig. There's a few, but it's always because they know. They tell the people we're going to have a comedian, or with Stevie GB's coming in, or they know me. Then it's good. But a lot of times it's bad. I've had one where nobody in the audience spoke English. They were all Egyptians. They didn't understand a word I was saying.
Oh my God.
What can you do?
Okay, so how about this question?
Yeah.
In your 30 years of comedy tomorrow, without glasses, what is, if you had to reflect on the most touching moment you've ever experienced?
Touching? The most touching moment?
Yeah.
Well, I love to do a place in East Northport. I'll use this. I mean, there's a lot of them. Obviously, the Dion Westbury Music Fair was an out of body experience. That was amazing. If you have time, I would tell you that story. But touching, I do a place in East Northport called Samantha's Little Bit of Heaven. It sounds like a strip club, but it's not. It's a Christian coffee house, which is the exact opposite of a strip club. But they always have comedy nights. They do it once a week. They call it Squeaky Clean Comedy. And I do it like 2 or 3 times a year because it's always the same people. And I like, but I love them. And they're so receptive. They hold maybe 70 people. And I think the most touching thing is it happens a lot there. When I get off stage there, I always get people come up to me and say, I had the most horrible day. My mother has cancer, or I'm dealing with it. They have so many issues in their lives, and I just wanted to get out of my situation and come out. And that whole time you were on stage, I did not think once about my problems. And I don't know that I feel it now. That always touches me because I feel like I'm not doing this for me at that point. I feel like I'm doing something for somebody else and it's making their life, even for that short time, a little better. And another thing I love is those people and other people will text me or email me out of nowhere. Hey, I saw this today and I thought of you. And it's like a joke that I do. And I like that they're thinking about me when in their everyday lives. And maybe I'm bringing a moment of joy to them, And I think that touches me for some reason. I always feel good about that. Because then it's like I could forget about the business and forget about all the negative stuff and why I'm not famous. And I'm actually touching lives through laughter and joy. And what could be better than that? It's like a God-given thing.
Yes. Now, I'm a huge fan of comedy and music that Les Deegan does.
Oh,
He came to my show I did weekly at the VA hospital on 23rd and 1st.
oh, great.
So talk to people and myself a little bit about, you had the musical and you sing and you sang in parodies with a partner and also with Les Deegan involved.
Yes.
I want to hear about that before we sign off.
That's my other project. That's the Retirement Village People. And that came about when my buddy Joe Gellish, who played Chico Marx in my play where I did Groucho. We did a play called Groucho, A Life in Review, which is the story about Groucho, written by his son, Arthur Marx. And that's a role I always wanted to play, and I did it, and I'm so proud of how I did it. And we sold out. And Joe played Chico, and we became really close buddies. And we're like the same mind. He's not a comedian, he's a musician, very good one. But we're about the same age. We like the same stuff. It's like he's my brother from another mother. I don't think I've ever met anybody as close to me as Joe. And when we go out to lunch because he works nearby. He's an engineer. I'm an accountant. And we would get to lunch together every week. And we would just kick around funny ideas. And I came up with the idea of a musical group. I say we should do a musical group, the Retirement Village People, like the Village People, but it's the Retirement Village People because I love that play on words. And we started. I said instead of YMCA, it could be like AARP, And then we started developing ideas. And every week he would come with a new idea, and I would come with a new idea, and we would start writing these parodies of songs. Like instead of Mother's Little Helper, was Father's Little Helper about Viagra. And we had so many songs, and they were all funny. And I said, you know what? We got to do this. We got to do a show. He's like, what do you mean do a show? He thought we were just doing it back and forth. I said, no, we're booking a show. So I booked the show and we did it as a duo. We wrote in 2 years since we started this, we're up to somewhere around 40 songs.
Wow.
We just keep writing songs. We would get together and I got an idea, and he'd get an idea, and he would run with it. It's not like I had the idea and I had to do all the work. He would come up with stuff, and and he's also funny, but I'm a little funnier. He knows it, so it's okay. And I would come up with a bit, or I would make it a little funnier, and we would develop these songs, and then he would play the music on the piano. And I don't have a great singing voice, but he knows my range and he knows what fits, and he would get it in the right key so I could sing it. And we did it, and we were getting like standing ovations. And I said, you know what? We should make this bigger. And I know Les Deegan a long time, and he's funny. Same thing, same mindset, same age. He's got a great singing voice. I said, he's like a real singer. We got Les in there. And then we got another lady, Anita Starlight, and she's a wonderful singer. Like she does Streisand and Whitney Houston. And I developed a friendship with her. Same thing, same sense of humor. It's like we're four peas in a pod. And I said, we got a foursome. And we just developed this show. And it's an hour right now. But if we really worked on it, it could be 2 hours because we've got so much material. And we did a show at a over 55 group a couple of weeks ago, and it killed. People loved it. And I said, we were onto something here. So that's like another little side project. And I love it because it's musical. It's not comedy. It is comedy, but it's not like stand up. And it's just another avenue I can go down. And again, we're not making a fortune, but you never know. I think it's a great idea. See, everything I do, I always think this is a great idea. And if it turns me on and makes me laugh, I have a theory that it's going to make other people laugh. And then I have another theory. If you can make a room full of 50 people laugh, you can make a room full of 5,000 people laugh because we all laugh at the same things. And if you can make 5,000 laugh, you can make 20,000 laugh, and you can make 1,000,000 laugh because it's all funny.
Absolutely.
Funny is a universal language.
Yes, absolutely. So 2 last questions for you. The first one is, you've accomplished a lot and you've been written up many times in the New York papers and on news.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to know the secret to getting on the news, what would I have an idea what the answer might be. I would think it would be do something great and you'll get on the news.
Well, that's kind of an obvious answer. I think if you're different, I think the thing that with me was that world's funniest accountant. It's like an oxymoron. It's like how many accountants are funny? So all of a sudden there's a human interest. Human interest is the key because we're in the human interest category. We're not newsmen. You don't want to be on the front page. That's for the murderers and you don't want to be on that page. You want to be on the Act 2 of Newsday. They call it Act 2, which is like the older generation who have discovered a new career in their lives. It's human interest. It's inspirational. It's feel good. It's like, oh wow, look at this guy. He was an accountant for 30 years and he's a comedian and he played at Westbury Music Fair. Wow. Maybe I'm not a schmuck, maybe because I'm a carpenter, I could do other things, this guy inspired me to do things. So it's that. That's the key. If you can find something that you do or you are that anything, you overcame something, you had a disease or you're in a wheelchair. I'm not going to say I can't say handicap. What's the word now? Physically challenged, and you're doing comedy, or you sing. If you watch the news and you watch the human interest stories, that's what it is. It's people with interesting lives that are out of the normal, that are doing something that is inspiring to others. So that's all it is. And you contact them. Hey, I got this interesting thing that I do. What do you think? And next thing you know, you're in the news.
That's a great tip. Thank you. I bet a lot of people will appreciate that tidbit.
It's not that hard. And everybody has something. People think, I'm not interesting. Yeah, you kind of are. Everybody's interesting.
Nice. So before we go, here's the last very important question, and you get all the time you want with it. Where will you be appearing and when? How do people get tickets? Where are you online? How can we help you grow your social media? What can we do to help you? There you go. It's kind of a 4-part.
Well, I'm going to be at the. I'm not doing as much as I would like to do, but I'm trying to get as many gigs as I can. But with all the COVID stuff, everything fell apart for a year.
Yeah.
I'm going to be at a place in Patchogue called the Blue Goose Restaurant on August 14th, which is a fun show. I'm calling it my 30th anniversary show. I'm going to do like a full hour set. I like to do an hour, and that's a night. They have good food, so that's through Gateway Comedy, which is Mike Dillon. GatewayComedy.com. You can get tickets August 14th. Then I got a lot of private stuff going on. I can't even think of anything public. That might be, August 30th. I'm at the Farmingdale at the Library Cafe, which is a restaurant in Farmingdale. You can follow me on Facebook, Stevie GB Comedy or Stevie GB. I post every 3.5 minutes. I'm posting jokes or I'm posting where I'm going to be, what I'm going to be doing. I do have a website. I don't really keep it up, but it's www.steviegb.com. You didn't even ask where Stevie GB comes from.
I didn't. I'm dying to know.
Well, when I was younger, in my younger I Dare You to Like Me days, I was a punk rocker. I know you look at me now, you're surprised, but it's true. Yeah, so I used to go to CBGB's in New York City all the time, the club, the famous CBGB's club. And one of my friends said, you're here all the time. We should just call you Stevie GB. So that became my nickname in like the late 70s. And when I decided to do comedy, I was like, I don't use my name, Steve G and Turco. Nobody's going to remember that. I'll use Stevie GB. It's fun, so it stuck and I've been sticking with it. So yeah, StevieGB.com. It's STEVIEGB is my website. Facebook. I'm not on Twitter. I jumped off of that. I'm not a big social media. I am a social media guy. I'm on there a lot, but I don't know how to promote as well as I should. That's about it.
Awesome.
About it.
Okay, give me your best way to inspire the whole world with what you want to leave as your legacy. What do you want to be remembered for?
Always being on time. Be early. How about that? I'm always early. My one-act play, my favorite one-act play, the one that won the award, it's my favorite. I think it's the best thing I've ever written. It's called Death Here. And it's about death. It's about the Grim Reaper. And I don't want to give it away, but he hates his job. He's bad at his job. Again, the Grim Reaper. You think of the Grim Reaper, what does he got to do? He picks the guy up and he's there. That's his whole job. But he's bad at it because he's always late. He's always late. And something happens. I'm going to leave it at that. But be early. I hate people that are late. Everything runs on late people. If the show starts at 8, the show should start at 8. It shouldn't start at 8:15 or 8:20. You know why it's starting at 8:15, 8:20? Because the late people are showing up at 8:15. We can't start the show yet because not everybody's here. Screw them. Maybe if you start at 8 and they miss the first 15 minutes, it'll cure their lateness problem. That bothers me. It's rude. It's rude to everybody else. It means their time is not important to you. Be on time. In fact, be early. That's my legacy.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad.
So my tombstone will say, I made it on time. Right on time. That's my tombstone. Here lies Stevie GB. Right on time.
Thank you so much. Was this your first appearance without glasses?
Yeah. This is a landmark. How do I look? I look weird, no?
Fabulous.
Well, you don't know me without glasses as well as others do. I feel like I got a little bit of Joe Biden eye. A little bit, right? The thing. I can't do Joe Biden's impersonation. But yeah, this is my first appearance without glasses.
That's so awesome. Thank you so much, Stevie GB. You're amazing.
You look a little like you have a little Carol Channing going on.
I do. A little Carol Channing and Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a good combination. Hey, ba-ba-boom. That's
Yeah, I'm
nice.
the Marilyn Monroe that had to jump out of a cake for Ted Kennedy.
And into the river. Oh, don't go there. See, I just wrote a joke for you.
Thank you.
I
I'll
jumped
take
out of the
it.
cake for Ted Kennedy and right into the river. I jumped out of the river. Maybe that's the joke. You heard of the girl jumped out of the cake for JFK? I jumped out of the river for Ted Kennedy. It's not bad.
Can I have it?
Of course. Well, I can't do it. Well, yeah.
Thank you so much. I'll send you some free jokes. Thank
Ah,
you. Thank you, Stevie GB.
thank you, Linda. This was wonderful. Thanks so
Wonderful.
much.
Thank you.
All
Bye. I'll
right. Bye
post it
bye.
all day. I'll post it on every page on the
Oh,
internet.
I will too. Thank you.
Thank you. You'll see about 300 likes, if not more.
Ooh,
Yep.
that's more than
Bye.
I get at home.
What?
That's more than I get at home. I don't get 300 likes. I get 0 likes at home.
I bet you do, though. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Linda.
Bye. Love you.
You too.